What's up, guys? Today I'm going to break down one of my favorite baits for spring. This is the Reaction Innovation Skinny Dipper. Now, we talk about the Skinny Dipper a lot, but in the spring we fish it a couple different ways, very simple ways that are highly effective, and I know you guys can catch a ton of fish on it if you implement it. So if you're ready, let's do it. Welcome to the Hookup Tackle. The Hookup Tackle is the world's largest showcase of megabass products, featuring baits and colors not found at any other dealer. The Hookup also offers a wide display of OSP, Evergreen, Depths, Lucky Craft, Jackal, and many more. The Hookup Tackle is owned and operated by family, is staffed by guides and verified tackle nerds who love helping anglers elevate their craft. If you're in the Phoenix area, we'd love to have you stop by our showroom and check out the wonderful world of megabass and the Hookup for yourself. If you shop online, there are almost 10,000 SKUs of megabass products alone, with hundreds of other companies and new products being added daily. So next time you're looking for that hard to find bait, that color your fish have never seen before, or maybe you just want to elevate your game, look at thehookuptackle.com. What's up, guys? I am Ben with the Hookup Tackle, Tackle Otaku on Instagram. Of course, being joined by my buddy Jeffrey the King. We're the Hookup Tackle USA. So today, Jeff, we're going to break down the Skinny Dipper. Now, if you live in Arizona, there are some things that are just...
You have to have them.
You have to have these things, right? Like, unfortunately, you have to drop shot.
You have to, yes.
And you have to have a Skinny Dipper.
Yes, sir.
I can't think of anything else that you can't function without.
Right.
Now, the Skinny Dipper is a bait that we talk about a lot when the fish are schooled up, when the fish are really chewing, when they're boiling, when they're moving really fast, because it's an amazing bait that you can burn real quick. But it's also kind of a sleeper bait that works great early in the season, early in the spring, when those fish are first moving up. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. Maybe shed some light on some things you can do, some riggings, the rod, the line, all that kind of stuff, and just do a real fast breakdown just to put it fresh in a lot of our heads. So a lot of us are coming out of winter, right? Some of you more than us, right? Hey, choices. You all choose where to live. Don't know what's wrong with half of you. Ice, snow. You guys gotta be crazy. But I mean, I gotta imagine if you're staring at ice for 6 months out of the year, that the last thing on your mind is probably a Skinny Dipper, right? So we're gonna break this down really fast. I'm gonna show you exactly what we're doing, colors we're using, that kind of stuff. So first up, there are two different dippers. There's a Skinny Dipper and a Little Dipper, right? So Little Dipper is just a smaller version of this. If size is important to you guys and the fish is feeding on super small stuff, you can do this with the Little Dipper. But for me, this is just Skinny Dipper territory, right? Because if they're not eating this, then I'm usually doing something else, right? But the reason why I like the Skinny Dipper is this is a very easy bait to throw on relatively heavy gear. So for me, when the fish move up in the spring, right, when they're coming out of the deep water and they're moving up to spawn, maybe it's pre-spawn, maybe it's during spawn, maybe it's even post-spawn. Generally speaking, we're talking about fish that are going shallow, and there's just a lot of shit up there. There's trees, there's grass, there's tules, there's stumps, there's boulders, there's all kinds of just stuff in the water that can be really abusive to lighter line. So generally, when we're in this mode, I'm heavy gear, heavy line all the time, just to make sure that I can pull those fish away from whatever it is they're sitting on, right? Now, here in Arizona, we're dealing with a lot of, largemouth and wood, largemouth and grass, largemouth and tules. But I mean, Jeff, even when you and I traveled last year through the Great Lakes, we're in this huge, clear, massive lake, whether it's Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, whatever, and we're still throwing 20 pound at smallies because they're big fish, they're big boulders. If you're not careful and you don't move those fish away from cover, and a lot of times it's not even just moving the fish away from cover, when you're fishing something like this that's moving and those fish hit coming to it and you're pulling it, there's just so much impact that happens that it's important to have some heavier gear. So getting back to why the Dipper, it's a pretty heavy bait, right? It's pretty dense, it's full of salt. The way they build it, I would guess this is probably about ½ an ounce. I've never actually weighed it, but I know that it throws forever, right? So it's a pretty heavy bait. Now, the way they design a Dipper, you can see it's pretty stiff and pretty rigid. So it has this headpiece, it has these ribs on the back, and of course it has this paddle tail. Now, Unlike a paddle tail that you guys probably throw a lot of, like a Keitech or a Doe Life shad or a Spark shad, where the tails have these big swings to them, this is a very, very tight swing. I mean, you can see there's not much bend to it. So the tail is back there really, really tight. So where a dipper shines is a dipper shines moving pretty quick through the water, right? You can really move this thing fast, and the fish just kind of see something go by and they eat before they even think about it, okay? Now, let's talk about rigging. So there's two basic riggings that I do on this thing, okay? The first rigging is gonna be for open water. So this is either the fish are staging out, they haven't moved up yet, or this could be shallow water, but it's more open shallow water. So boulder fields, rock fields, maybe even grassy areas, but the grass hasn't grown way up yet. So it's relatively open, relatively clean, and I can get away throwing a little bit more of an exposed hook without snagging every cast, or if I make a wrong cast off by 2 feet, it's not wrapping around branches or wood or something that's just gonna snag, right? So it's a little bit easier, more forgiving on my cast, okay? This is the rigging that I do. So very simply, I use an owner twist lock. Now you can use a weighted version or an unweighted version, okay? I prefer the unweighted this time of the year. Now if you go with the weighted, what it will do is it will allow you to move it faster, okay? So it's adding more weight so you can move it even quicker and keep it high in the column. This time of the year, I like a quick pace, but I don't want it to be burned necessarily, okay? So really what I'm looking to do on the dipper is I'm looking to fish this quick in the top part of the column, right? This isn't a bait I'm gonna throw out there, let it sink down to the bottom and just kind of slowly crawl it around, right? This is a bait that I'm gonna throw out, it's gonna land, I'm gonna give it just a second, and then I'm gonna get a pretty quick retrieve going with my reel, and this thing is just gonna burn by like one shad, scared for his life, doesn't know where his friends are, and he's just booking it, right? That's what I'm looking to do. So this is the hook I use, a 4/0 twist lock. I always will add a red treble. I like a size 4, you could also do a size 6. You could do the owner ST36, you could do a Gamakatsu round bend treble. Whatever you prefer is fine. Okay, they both work. Now I'm gonna rig one up here real quick so you guys can see it, okay? Okay, so very important with these skinny dippers, this twist lock style hook is super, super critical, okay? So if you choose not to use a twist lock and you choose to just use like an EWG or something like that, what's gonna happen is, again, because this bait weighs so much and you can make a real long cast, you're gonna tear the hook out of the front. It's heavy, but it's kind of an in-between a stiff and a soft, right? But I can tell you that the hooks will tear out of that nose very, very easily, okay? So you rig it up like this. Now, if you're using an owner ST36, it doesn't matter which way this hook goes on, okay? Because the owners are perfectly balanced to center, so there's no true up and no true down, right? If you're using a Gamakatsu, there's a true up and a true down, right? So the Gamakatsu welds one hook on to 2 hooks, okay? So you wanna go with the weld side up, okay? Now, you're gonna take that hook, you're gonna put it through, and it's gonna come right out the middle, and it's just gonna sit there, okay? You don't need to text pose this, it can just sit there right in that groove, okay? And then you're gonna attach your treble right underneath. Now, the treble is doing a couple things. I don't know if fish see red and react to red any different. Do you buy into the red thing, Jeff? That they see red and, oh, there's the trigger? I don't know, right? Because there's so many different things. You know, some people say, well, add a red treble so it gets the flash, but then line companies come out with red line that say, oh, red is the least visible, right? So what the fuck are we supposed to believe, right? Do they see it? Do they not see it? I don't know, right? What I do know is that if you throw this bait in open water without that treble, they're gonna bump it a lot. So you're just gonna be whining and you're gonna go, oh man, there's nothing there. Oh, they bump it. But when you put that treble on there, they swallow the damn thing. So there's something about this, whether it's flash, whether it's creating a different draft, whether it's creating a different vibration. I don't know what it is, I just know the results. And you're gonna get them to eat it way more with the treble on there than without it, okay? So this is it. It's a great open water rigging. It's perfect. Now, the other rigging I save for, you know, stick-ups, right? Wood, stumps, trees. This is a rigging that I can get a little bit more daring with, right? Because it's a little bit more weedless, right? Also, it helps me play with my depth a little bit more, okay? So same bait, but now I'm gonna rig it on a 5/0 flashy swimmer, okay? So I go with a 5/0 here because the 5/0's great, but if you're gonna add that treble hook, the 4/0's better, okay? It just gives you a little bit more room in that hook. But if I'm not gonna add a treble hook and I'm just gonna go straight hook, then the 5/0's actually a perfect size. So again, we're gonna rig this the same way, okay? Now, we're gonna come out. Now, because we have a little bit bigger hook here, we can decide if we wanna Texpose this and make it a little bit more weedless or not, okay? So typically for me, if I'm throwing it around a lot of cover, I'll Texpose it just to give myself just a little bit more of a weedless presentation. Now, what we've done is we've added this little underspin blade, okay? So this is gonna do two things. First thing it's gonna do, it's gonna add a little bit of vibration, okay? So the fish are gonna feel something a little different. It's gonna add a slight bit of flash, not a ton of flash, but if the sun is more at a side angle and that light's penetrating, then they are gonna see just a little bit of flash. But remember, it's kind of underneath the bait. So the sun's up high, the bait's kind of covering it. So it's more a vibration, but what it also does is it helps you control the depth, okay? So if you're fishing, you know, and they're not reacting to it moving really fast up above, you can slow this down. So let's say you're fishing a big flat, it's covered in stumps, it's covered in trees, there's branches, different things, and you're not exactly sure where they are, right? They're starting to filter in, right? You're getting migrations of fish that are kind of flooding these shallow bays, shallow flats. This is a great way to cover water because you can make long casts, you can fish pretty quick, you can fish fast and burn it high, or you can slow it down and let this thing with that blade kind of go down a tree, up and over a limb, down a tree, up and over a limb, and you can control it really well by keeping it weedless. I like the skinny dipper for this over something like a spark shad or a doe live shad or a Keitech, something that I throw a lot because of the durability of this bait on this. If I'm gonna be pulling it up and over and through bushes, I need that bait to be pretty durable, right? And this just works perfectly for this technique, okay? So there you go. Those are the two riggings. Open water, cover. The most important thing with a skinny dipper, to me, is the gear and your hook set, okay? So let's talk about the gear really fast. What you want is you want a rod that is comfortable for you to cast whatever distance you need to cast. Now, I like a longer rod for a skinny dipper. It lets me bomb a cast if I need to bomb a cast, but it also gives me the proper amount of control on my hook set, okay? So the rod that I have been using all spring is the new NRX Plus. This is the 904 MBR. So this is the mag bass rod, not the JWR. Now the MBR, whether you're using an NRX Plus, whether you're using a Conquest, either of those would be great, right? What the MBR does that the JWR doesn't is the MBR is still gonna give you a pretty soft tip up here, okay? So it's still gonna load that bait. It's still gonna give you enough of a load to when you go back to cast, that rod's still bending to help you kind of propel it. But that MBR bends deeper into the blank. Okay, I like the NRX because I've been using, like, the Mad Bull is another good one. If you need a shorter rod, closer range, Mad Bull would be a great one. I've been using the Dark Sleeper rod. That's a great skinny dipper rod as well. I just switched over to this one just because it's new and I want to try to give it some momentum. What's nice about this one is that it just has so much distance to it because it's 7.6 instead of 7.2 like a Dark Sleeper. So if you guys are fishing closer contact, super accurate casts are important. The Megabass Destroyer P5 Dark Sleeper rod, beautiful with a dipper. If you want more open water casts, longer casts, the NRX 904 MBR is amazing. Now, gear ratio, I love a 7-to-1 here. Now, even though we're fishing really fast, when I go to an 8-to-1, it's almost too fast and you'll get the bait to kind of break the surface and you don't want that. You want this to stay down below. Remember those ribs we talked about on there? If this is the surface of the water and this bait is coming up to the surface, those ribs are kind of trapping air and it's kind of preventing it from breaking out the surface. So once you kind of get this thing moving, you get in a speed and you get in a groove, right? Then you can just really kind of crank that 7-to-1 gear ratio and it just stays right in that lane. If you go too fast with an 8-to-1, then it kind of pushes it up and over, and once it starts breaking the surface, it doesn't have the same effectiveness, right? So 7-to-1 gear ratio. Pound test, I'm always on 20 pound. Okay, so again, now I'm fishing mostly cover, shallow water, bigger fish, right? But because I'm moving the bait so quickly, I want that line to be as strong as possible. Now, if the fish get relatively shy, you can always downsize your line. But if you downsize your line, you're giving up a lot of your hook set and you're gonna miss it. So if you can get away with 20 pound, do it. Everywhere I've been and thrown this bait, smallmouth, largemouth, clear water, muddy water, 20 pounds seems to be fine. I use Sunline Sniper because it's easy to cast, easy to manage, but whatever fluorocarbon you like is fine. Now let's talk about the hook set, because this is very, very important, okay? When fish are eating a bait like this, because things are moving so fast, and if you are using one of these rods that we're talking about right now, an NRX Plus, Destroyer P5, you know, Steez AGS, right? Something that's just highly sensitive, you feel everything happen very quickly, right? The rods just put so much feel to your hand that you need to almost dampen that a little bit. So if I make the cast out there, right, instead of pointing the rod straight at the bait, what I'm doing is I'm kind of turning my body slightly to an angle. Okay, I want that rod to have a slight bend to it, so I'm at a slight angle, okay? What happens is this way, when the fish bites, if I'm straight at it, there's no give, right? I'm literally direct contact, reel straight to the bait. Everything happens so fast, it bites, I set, and it just, you miss a ton of fish, right? You haven't given them time to get the bait, exhale that water, position that bait where it needs to be before that hook is driven in, right? You're literally feeling them kind of sucking it in, and then you're pulling it out of their mouth before they even have a chance to get it. So by turning just slightly sideways, you give those fish a chance to just get it, you let that rod load up, and then all you need to do is turn. You don't need a hard hook set here. All you need to do is turn, because remember, you're winding so fast, right? You're already moving and you hit them. But that way, if you miss the fish, you just keep winding, and a lot of times they'll come back and get it. If you're here and you swing and you miss, the bait pulls out, it's done, right? Never gonna eat it again. So if you guys implement this into your lineup, into your arsenal this spring, it doesn't matter if it's ponds, if it's lakes, if it's rivers, moving water. The dipper is just, it's an amazing bait. It's super highly effective. There's a ton of colors. You guys can go crazy on colors. I keep it relatively simple. White is my favorite color, right? Jeff and I laugh about this all the time. He doesn't think color matters. I think it's critical. I love white. So this is almost always my starting point. Now, if I need a little bit more color, if the water's got a little dinge to it, then I'll go to something like a Sexy Shad. If I need a little less color, if the water's really clear, then I'll go to either one of these Money Shot colors, like Money Shot Green or Money Shot Violet, that are more transparent, or something like that smoke grape color that we have. If you guys are fishing and there's no shad, like we're pretty much in shad tones here, there's no bait fish, right? So they're not eating shad, they're not eating herring, they're not eating anything like that. All they're eating is like bluegills. Then sprayed grass is an amazing color. Bullfrog is an amazing color, right? So play with the colors. They'll eat these things like crazy. You just got to fine tune and find the color that works best for you. So give that a shot. Jeff, I say we throw it out in the water and see what happens. So let's go over to CJ. He's out on the water right now. Let's put this same gear in his hands. Let's see if he can wrap this up for us and show you guys exactly how we're doing it, how he's using it. Let's go over to him.
Yep. Nice. Ate it as a... You want a net?
No.
There we go. That was an insane eat there, Jeff. Bombed out a cast. As soon as it hit the water, I saw my line screaming. Reeled down tight. Oh, it just barely popped out right there. Reeled tight, and there's a fish on there, dude. He was screaming like a redfish on a flat. We have 2 quality fish on the day in very random spots.
Yes.
And spots that didn't make any sense. But hey, that's Arizona fishing, I guess. Ate that little white dipper right there on a owner flashy swimmer. Little willow on the bottom there. Shoot! Here we go, Jeff. It's a nice fish right there.
Good
Let's go. We all have a fish today now.
right.
Let's let her go. Oh, graceful. There she goes. There we go. There's another one right there. Oh, that's a great feeling.
Good job, dude.
Felt the bite, rod loaded up, and he was there. Whew, another beauty. On that little dipper on the flashy swimmer there. Beautiful fish. So basically, let's let this guy go here. Let him go over here. Beautiful fish right there. Another quality fish. So basically what we're doing here, guys, is we're just looking for this laid down timber. We're fishing really shallow water right now. I mean, these fish, there's 2 fish that have been pulled out of maybe 2 feet of water, so they're super shallow. What we're looking for, at least what I'm looking for here, is these laid down trees with some shade. And we got the sun over here kind of above us and to the left, so that shady side is going to be off here on the right. We're just paralleling this little stretch, throwing it on the right side, bringing it over those trees right there, and they're coming out for it. So this little bait right here, little Reaction Innovation Skinny Dipper, looks just like a little shad, paired up with the owner flashy swimmer, and it's got a little leaf blade right there. Looks like a perfect little shad imitation. These fish are coming out of the wood and killing it. So let's catch another one. Okay, guys, so we're out here. We're in this little mud flat here. It's only like 2 feet of water at the most. So this time of year, we're looking at the latter part of March, getting into April, so these fish are getting ready to move up and do their thing. So they're, oh, I just missed one, Jeff. Anyway, so just like that, these fish are pushing up on these logs, taking advantage of this stained water. They're sitting in the shade, just kind of like what that fish was doing right there. See if I can catch them. And they're getting fattened up to get ready to go up and spawn. So they're looking for shad, craw, bluegill, anything. Got him. Oh, it's a good one, Jeff. Oh, this is a good one. Dude, oh, he's in the tree. Oh, I think I still got him. I think I can see him. Oh, dude, they're crushing this little underspin. Please be there, fish. Right where he should have been. I just hope he's still there. I saw his belly go around the log. I don't think he's there, Jeff. Shoot, is he gone? I think that's my underspin right there on the log. Ah, dang it, Jeff.
Seems like the shallower stuff is it.
Yeah, they were fucking. Yeah, not 3 foot.
Well, they're a big laydown.
Yeah.
We haven't had a big laydown.
Some brushy stuff. At least that we've seen. There we go, guys. Oh, there's another fish right there. There we go, guys. Right in the face there. Little dipper just got crushed. That was fun. So thump, thump, and then she's gone. So there we go. Hell yeah. The whole name of the game right now is just covering a ton of water, and a skinny dipper and owner flashy swimmer is a great combo to do so. I can cast this a long ways and cover a lot of water to look for those fish. It's got a lot of flash to it. It's a bold white color there, so it'll draw the fish from a long ways away. I'm pairing that up with 20-pound Sunline Sniper. I got the NRX Plus here, the 904C MBR. So it's got a nice backbone to it and a soft tip, so that way these fish can get a hold of that bait let it get deep, and then just jack them. You got tons of backbone to get those fish in the boat. Every single one of these fish here I've hit hard and I've winded. Have that paired up with the Metanium DC there. So perfect combo for throwing something like this. It's a great way to cover a ton of water and catch a lot of fish this spring, guys.